to press record, and we got sneezes going on. It's Friday. It's the way it is. And I'm just going to kill this other one so we don't get feedback. So we are good to go now. And let's start this all over again. So welcome to Fearless Friday. I am Maria Conde. I'm the branch director for Happy Healthy Women here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I have the honor and privilege to have a guest with me today, Carolini Arco. And she is a trailblazer with Happy Healthy Women out on the West Coast. So we are here today to give you a little bit of a flavor of what it's like to have some conversations in Happy Healthy Women and get to know us and what we're about, and just just get to know us better and how we deliver things and the conversations that we have on a regular basis in our groups, which can be something from really simple business things to really deep conversations like Carolini and I usually have. And today we're talking all about spiritual awakenings. And I'm excited for this conversation. We just had a little bit of a chat beforehand. And I was just listening to another podcast right before this session about a similar thing. And, but I'm just going to open the conversation to just open it up, and you can give us a little introduction on yourself, Carolini, and just, start with that.
Okay. No, thanks so much for having me, Maria. It's really nice to be with you again. So I'm Carolini Arco, and honor of calling myself a spiritual guide, which means that over the last 5 years, I've been working really closely with people who are feeling the spiritual calling. So people who are going through massive transitions in their life, and they come to a moment where they ask themselves, who am I? Why am I here? What is it all for? And helping people remember their true identity beyond the titles that we put for ourselves, beyond the masks that we use for society, like our true identity, grounded on the spiritual knowing of, self-love and compassion and empathy and understanding. So my work is very deep. It is, to be a spiritual guide is something that is not just my career. It is my life purpose. It is my passion. It is my hobby. It is everything that I do, right? It takes a huge amount of devotion to carry a work like that. And it's also my pleasure, is the impact that I'm bringing into the world. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. And the podcast I was just listening to right before this was Brene Brown had interviewed Amy Cuddy. And I guess Amy had done a recent article on, they called it the pandemic flux syndrome. And one of the things they talked about was a lot of people looking for that deeper meaning in life right now. And, the pandemic has fueled a lot of that for a lot of people to say, okay, I value life a lot more than I did before. And there's got to be more to life than just going to my day job every single day and carrying on, right? And I deal with, a lot of my clients that I work with are people that are doing that too. They get to a certain point and go, I want to do something that's more purpose-driven, has deeper meaning to me. And, you do it on an even deeper level. I do it more on the business side of things, where you're doing it more on that spiritual side of things for people, right? So have you noticed a difference recently on that, or more of it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Since the pandemic happened, so when I talk about spiritual awakening, right, it generally starts with a disruption. I say that is a portal, is the portal of disruption, where something happens in your life that changes the way that things work, right? And sometimes this is the pandemic, sometimes this is a big breakup, or you lost your job, or suddenly like everything that seemed that it was going well is not going well anymore, or you're just lost sometimes you don't even have a reason for it. So that disruption is really the beginning of this awakening process, of awakening to who you are. And so this is happening right now, both in an individual and in a collective level. I talk a lot about the planetary transition and where the Earth is going, and what is the fifth dimension that we're stepping into, right? So the spiritual awakening is happening both in an individual and in a collective level. And we are getting that reflection of Mother Earth going through these huge changes. And because we're part of Mother Earth, we experience that for ourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that collective energy, I was talking to somebody else about that yesterday, that you can really, really feel it right now. really feel the shifts right now. And some of it's unpleasant to actually walk through, right? It's not always that vision you might have of that spiritual awakening sort of thing. Sometimes it's tough in the middle, right? To actually get through some of that stuff, to
Oh,
emerge out the other
100%.
side.
Yeah, of course, right? It is tough. And I always use this metaphor of like is an egg, that is cracking open for something
Yeah,
else. And for that egg to crack open, it needs a huge amount of pressure. It needs a
yeah,
huge amount of energy. And it is ugly and it is uncomfortable and it's
yeah,
weird, right? To go through that process. But that is what's needed really,
yeah,
because it breaks the illusion. Like when a disruption happens, such as the pandemic, for an example, it breaks a lot of illusions that we had been caught up on, right?
yeah.
And I think a lot of people are experiencing that. I was in the illusion that everything that mattered was waking up and going to work and worrying about gossiping. I don't know, right? So,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
you
some, yeah, yeah,
taking level at a whole different life at a whole different level now is what it's about. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
how do you work with people? Are you do you do programs one-on-one, or how are you working with people right now?
So I work a lot with one-on-one, like a
Yeah.
long-term program, and my work is like two sides. So I am an ICF certified life coach. I've been coaching for the last 5 years. I'm a Reiki master teacher. I've been
Mm,
also Reiki for 6 years or so, breathwork facilitator. So when I'm working with somebody, there's an aspect of going deep into what is your soul. And when we
yeah.
ask ourselves these questions, when we're talking about the soul journey, is not just who you were when you were born in this lifetime and the name that you were given. Is like, what were you in past lifetimes?
Mhm,
We all had a contract before we came to earth. We all signed a contract for what
mhm.
purpose we're here to fulfill and what lessons we're here to learn. So if we can go into your soul level, we can have access to that contract and retrieve that information that will put you back on like the right path, the most prosperous, most auspicious, I guess that would be the word, the prosperous path.
Yeah.
Um, to be at. So a big aspect of it is like connecting to your past lives, connecting to your spiritual guides, your ancestors, like going deep into the spiritual level of it, doing spiritual healings.
That's
They're so
fascinating.
very important. Yeah, it is a pretty interesting work. And then the second part of it is once you change something energetically, so once you change something on a spiritual level, there's an aspect of aligning your mind to it, of mindset alignment to it.
Mhm.
Because if we heal a trauma that your body had been carrying for 800 years, like the other day I had a session with a client, and she really wanted to heal her relationship, right? She wasn't able to manifest the relationship of her dreams, and why not? And when we went deep into her soul, she had a trauma that she had been carrying for 800 years.
Wow.
For like many past lives, she has been carrying this inside of her, and we were able to change it during the session.
Yeah.
And she felt it, everything. She was absolutely mind blown after. It was her first spiritual session. She was like, what just happened? It was insane. And but when you change something on that level, you become somewhere new. You become
Yes.
someone, yeah, there's something that changes on you, so you become someone new. And to have that accountability and the ability to like train your mind
Yeah.
to accept this new person, to like gain clarity on who you are right now and how do you
Yeah.
want to operate, is very important. So I work on both levels, right? I work on like doing this very deep, heavy spiritual work, and then
Mhm.
aligning the mindset to that change
To move forward
that
with.
we created. Yeah,
Yeah.
to move forward with. So that's something that's going to stay with you forever. It's not going
Yeah.
to be something that, like, oh, you're going to experience one and then it's done. Like, no, it's going to stay with you
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And how long does it actually take for, like, when you're talking about going back into history like that in generations, like, is that easily done? With somebody skilled, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is a lot of work. And
Yeah.
and as I said, like I've been devoted to this path for a number of years now,
Mhm.
and this is my main priority in life. So, like I'm so grateful to have access to these gifts.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and
fascinating though.
like, yeah, but so, for some people, like it depends very much on like what are you ready to receive, what your soul is ready to receive. For some
Yeah.
people, like this client was 30 minutes. you know, in 30
And just
minutes
ready and
straight.
open and receptive.
Yeah. Yeah, we went straight into the point, straight into the roots, you know, like clear the roots, did the work, and then it's done. 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For some other clients, of course, it takes longer. For some clients, you have to start with this life.
Yes.
What are the
There's so
traumas that
much
you've been carrying
resistance
on this
happening.
life?
Yeah.
So it depends a lot on where the person is at, what the
Where they're
person
at
is
to
ready
begin
to
with.
receive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's fascinating. And it's really cool when people are so open and receptive and it just flows so beautifully. Yeah. And
It's amazing. I
same in
mean,
my
yeah,
work too. When you do that, it's when someone's really open and it just flows, it's like it's magic.
it's magic. Yes, it's real
Yeah.
life magic. So the sentence that I keep using is creating miracles every day, because you see miracles being created like
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah,
when you are in
exactly.
this kind of work.
Exactly. Exactly. Was there anything else you wanted to share with us today before I ask any other questions? Because I can get us on another tangent.
No, go for it.
No. Um, when we talk about that collective energy, it is really, do you have any tips for people to get through, like even on a daily basis? Because it's heavy right now for some people, really, really heavy.
Yeah.
And not everybody can jump into doing, things like what we offer as our and in our programs and stuff like that. But just on a just everyday basis, how do you work through some of that stuff? Because it's, some days are better than others.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, like the tip that I it comes for me to share right now is we are a little antenna, you know, we really are a little antenna. We receive a lot more information. I think there's a stat that says our brain process like something like 25 trillion bytes of information per second,
Yeah,
but
it's
we can
phenomenal.
only actually like consciously, yeah, so we can only consciously interpret that or process that like 0.6%.
Yeah,
It's insane, right?
really small number we can actually process.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So but we are receiving all this information. So one of my favorite tips is to just get into the habit of sending the information, letting the information pass through you, sending it back to Mother
Mm.
Earth. And the Earth is a very powerful receiver. You know, the Earth receives everything, it takes everything, it does not judge anything that you send
Mm.
to her. So a really good practice is just to get used to letting this energy pass through you, not stay attached to you,
Mm.
not stay stuck on you, but just like passing through you. So even just taking a moment to like, you know, like just see yourself like as if your hands are very powerful. You just put your hands around and
Mm.
all the energy
And
that's
flow that energy straight
not
through.
serving me,
Yeah.
go to the earth, like flow through the bottom of my feet and just go down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just even this practice can kind of help us get more into our center and what's really important for
Mm-hmm.
us in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because even just watching the evening news can just throw you off, 1,000%, just doing a simple 15 minutes of watching that for, you know, there's just so
Oh
much
yeah.
out there that you would take on in that moment that you don't need to. I always tell people not to watch the news, but um, I don't watch the news myself. If there's anything major, I'm going to hear about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The world will make sure
For
you
sure.
know about it.
Yeah, 100%. I haven't had a TV in 8 years and I'm doing perfectly fine. So
Exactly, exactly, exactly. We know what's happening, and even in the pandemic and stuff, you were always in the loop of what was happening. Though you can access information if you needed to educate yourself, and because it's readily available everywhere. So, and I'm just watching. I didn't even look at our time. I'm trying to be mindful because sometimes when we can get into conversations, we can go for a very long time. And I do try and be mindful of the time because this is meant to be just a little snapshot of what it's like to be in conversation with us here at Happy Healthy Women, and to learn a little bit too. Carolina had some really amazing things to share with us today, and I'm always grateful when we connect. And was there anything you wanted to offer? How can people connect with you, or what else for today before we sign off?
yeah, so the best ways to connect with me is on my Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group where I do a lot of events, a lot of free events and workshops on self-love, spiritual awakening, how to transition through that with more ease and more joy. So yeah, so the Facebook group is a great place to start. And if you do want like a past life healing session, if if you feel like that is your moment, then yeah, just get in touch, send me a message, and I'll be happy to discuss if this is the right work for you.
Love it. I'm very curious on that, actually. I've always been curious about my past life, and I've never taken that dive into it yet, but very curious because I know I have some really deep, deep history there of some things. So be very curious to know. Well, it's been an
Follow your
absolute,
intuition, Maria.
yeah, exactly. I wanted to do it years ago, and something in my life happened that it got derailed, and I just never went forward with it. But then that you have to be presented with that, the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be, yeah, synchronicity has to happen. Yeah, love it. It has been an absolute pleasure connecting with you today. This is Fearless Fridays for Happy Healthy Women. We go live every single Friday in our groups. And this one is being broadcast into the Winnipeg group, but all the other groups across Canada will have an access to it, or actually just Western Canada, I think we do. And it is a pleasure to have you with me again today. And we will see everybody next Friday.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.